watching the Star Wars Reporter podcast. May the Force be with you.
Welcome to episode 100 of the Star Wars Reporter podcast, the official podcast of StarWarsReporter.com, among other things. And 100, I never thought we would get to this point.
Here we are. Wow. Here we are, 100.
Congratulations, guys. It's a great milestone.
100, yes. So we'll be in another 100, maybe. At 200, We'll actually have something bigger. Like we'll have like Luke Skywalker on the show.
Absolutely by then, for sure.
Sure, definitely.
Yeah, Mark Hamill.
Thanks for everyone for tuning in. So we're switching gears this week. We're going to be talking about the other universe, which is the Marvel universe, and we're going to be talking specifically about Guardians of the Galaxy, the holiday special. We're going to get into the Volume 3 trailer. And if we have a little time at the end, we're going to be talking about the Bad Batch Season 2 trailer. So really excited to get into this. So
a lot of trailers, a lot of things dropped this week. You notice that? Like this week is a big week for trailers. Like, we have the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Indiana Jones 5.
Yeah, Jones.
Bad Batch. There's been a lot of things that dropped. It's a very interesting week in the movie universe.
It was a great week. Embarrassment of riches.
Yes. Before, like every week, before we get into it, I want to introduce the other scoundrels on the podcast, starting with Trooper Todd.
Hello.
I almost hit the remove button accidentally.
I'm so excited about tonight. I know we talked a lot about Star Wars, but we're in a little bit of a lull. It's Christmas time coming up. What better thing just to look at Disney Plus? We talk about Disney Plus stuff all the time. Let's take a look at the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and with a Christmas special, right? They did a Halloween special, which was Werewolf by Night, which was I thought was amazing, and the Christmas special, Guardians of the Galaxy, who I'm a big fan of James Gunn's work. I was really excited about having an opportunity to share my thoughts about the special with you guys.
Yeah, looking forward to it. The other scoundrel we have, who again has a cool name, the Mandalorian.
Hey guys, like Todd said, I'm a big James Gunn fan, a big MCU fan, so I'm really excited to just get into it and sink our teeth into these great trailers and shows that we got to watch these last couple weeks.
Yeah, some reason Matt keeps coming back, and it's because we have naked pictures of him. He doesn't want to release, so he's got no choice.
I'm impressed. He's got the Guardian ship over his shoulder in Lego.
The original Guardian ship.
Yeah, the original Guardian ship right there.
Very nice.
Star-Lord and Mike Gamora.
Very nice. Very nice.
I like it.
One thing I must say too is like in James Gunn's vision of the Guardians of the Galaxy, like the spaceships look so cool. They look totally original. Like they don't look like Star Wars ships, but again, they look very, very cool. They look believable. They look like you buy into it. You believe that this thing can function in the environment it's in. It's kind of cool, and they build a universe that you can buy into what's going on.
Yeah, and he knows how to make a funny movie.
He does. He's very, very witty. I've been following James Gunn for quite a while. Like he did one of his first earlier movies, is Super. The one with had Rain. The guy played Dwight in The Office. What's his name?
Ray Wilson.
Yeah, and so he did the movie Super. He did that. He also did what's that? Sorry. Slither. That's the one. The horror comedy. Man, is that so? Michael Rooker's now in too. Yeah. So good. Nathan Fillion's in it too. It's it's a great Halloween movie or anytime movie. If you haven't had a chance to see Slither, you should see it.
Ooh, let's check that out. So let's watch the trailer for the holiday special, and then we'll get actually talking about the episode. And just for you guys right here, the very beginning here, where it's a special presentation, I just want you to keep that in mind. I want you to remember that, and I'll tell you why after the trailer.
I just saw on the calendar that right now on Earth, it's almost Christmas time.
We don't have time for trivialities like Christmas.
But Peter's so sad about Gamora being gone. Maybe if we go to Earth for a really wonderful Christmas gift, it would make him happy. Something special he will never forget.
What about someone special?
We're looking for the legendary Kevin Bacon.
We're looking for the legendary Kevin Bacon.
I just said that, Drax.
Your voice is small and mousy. I think maybe you didn't hear it. Ah! You're coming with us as a Christmas present. I'm Groot.
That is so awesome.
Wow. You see the little parts, we've seen it already.
Yeah.
First of all, I gotta say, if you haven't seen the special, you need to watch the special. It's a very, very Christmassy feel. It's very, very funny, very, very witty. If you haven't seen it, you should watch it for sure.
Now, before we get into that, I want to. So you remember the beginning?
Yes.
As soon as that opened, let me find it here.
To me, it looks like.
So as soon as it started, it
Okay,
reminded
I
me of
was just
this.
going to say, it reminds me exactly of that.
Exactly.
That's exactly. I was
It's
about
so
to say the
funny.
same thing, Steve. Was that presentation, the color scheme is very, very familiar. I thought it was ABC, but it's CBS, obviously. Yes, I agree with you 100%.
And I think what I noticed right away when I saw that, I thought, wait a minute, is that what he's doing? He was trying to give that whole old holiday special feel, almost like a small nod to, although not as horrible, the Star Wars holiday special. You know what I mean? Where it was just very like, except it was not a made up holiday. It was Christmas for the Earthling. And I thought it was the same thing. So there was that kind of old retro opening.
I agree. I think James Gunn, through his writing and his films, you can definitely tell he's a huge fan of pop culture. So
Yeah.
it doesn't surprise me that he would put something like that in there. Just the kind of guy he is.
And quite frankly, you look how the special started, right? You can't tell me that at the beginning that special wasn't a nod to the Star Wars special with the animated section. The animated faces look very similar.
Yeah.
To the Star Wars animated section of their holiday special.
They were doing the whole thing, except they were using like a rotoscope. And
but just the animation, the face, I thought it looked very, very similar. It gave me that feel anyway when I was watching it.
Yeah. Definitely. That's what I thought right away. As soon as I saw the animation, that opening, I was like, oh, they have an animation section too. It was when they did flashbacks, which I thought was a really good.
Yeah, I remember watching
really touch.
When I was watching my kids go, "Oh, Dad, this is animated." No, it's not animated. I think this must just be a flashback. And sure, when you see young Quill, there was the flashback. So I thought it was a nice touch to do it animated opposed to live action. It's just a nice little touch. And again, I think it's a homage to the disastrous Star Wars Christmas special.
So the whole premise of the show is the Guardians are on nowhere, which they own now, I guess.
Yes.
And Peter's a little down in the dumps because it's Christmas season, and Mantis and Drax take it upon themselves to try to cheer him up during the Christmas season. And also Mantis has kind of the other motive because she reveals that she is Peter's sister, right? They share the same father. And so they decide to go to Earth to get him something for Christmas that he talks about all the time, his favorite thing, which apparently is Kevin Bacon. And then hilarity ensues.
Yes.
But in the opening credits, when they're going through the different cast names, I thought this was funny, this part here. It said, and introducing Kevin Bacon.
Yeah. Because he hasn't been introduced into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, right?
Oh,
yeah.
He wasn't. One could argue that's untrue. If you guys want to play 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon movie edition, he played Sebastian Shaw in First Class, X-Men First Class, and X-Men with Wolverine being in Deadpool 3 is now part of the MCU. You can say that, you know, he's a character in the MCU now, and he's also played himself in the MCU.
That is correct. But officially, he's in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
It kind of felt funny to me, like they were like, "Oh, this new actor," you know, like they always say, "and introducing," and it's someone new. I just chuckled. Right? It's like there's just little bits of humor, and I have to go watch it again just to see if I missed anything elsewhere that he might have thrown in. So
yeah. Well, I like the fact they brought Cosmo into it now too. I don't know if you guys remember Cosmo the dog, the Cosmonaut dog, and of course the Collector had that because they bought the planet from the Collector. So obviously they got the Cosmo from at the end of Guardians Volume 1 sort of thing. That was kind of cool, and he had his telekinesis. I didn't know he had telekinesis, but that's kind of cool.
A cool note that not a lot of people picked up on, but if the Guardians bought Nowhere off of the Collector, that means that the Collector survived that attack from Thanos in Infinity Wars as well. You know, remember when it happened, everybody's like, what happened to this guy? Did he die? Is he gone? Like, he must have survived.
He must have survived because they did. Or
he's still out there. Benicio del Toro is still out there.
Somewhere.
Yeah.
Both in the Star Wars universe and although he played a useless character in Star Wars, I don't know what the whole point of that character was. But we're not there. We're talking about this
we're
special.
not. That movie does not exist. Sorry.
I love the fact, like, you know, they set it up. You know, they tell his backstory, what happened to Quill when he was young, with Yondu wrecking the tree and stuff like that. You know, no Christmas. You know, you have to take it. It's not about giving. You know, sort of thing. And then, you know, the whole thing. You know, like, Mantis is so upset and so concerned, and you know. Drax is just Drax, you know, but you know how I love that Nebula just doesn't care. Like, you know, she's got no heart. Like, she's half android, and so she just doesn't really have that emotional attachment to anything, which I found really funny because every time they came back to her within the episode, she's just like just what, you know. It's just kind of neat.
Nice moment at the end of the episode where she gives out gifts too, right? So
that's very very true.
She's just got the attitude that she doesn't care, right? Like, she cares about these people, but
because she's tough, right? She's a daughter of Thanos, right? So, you know, stepdaughter of Thanos, and gotta have has to have a reputation, I'm sure, right? But I just love how it got set up really, really well, and I love the fact that they got into it right away. Oh, like let's start that musical number. That musical number was it the old 87s or something, where they're called? Like
these guys.
That's a great music number, I thought. I didn't care for the Kevin Bacon song at the end because it's not my style of music, but I thought that first song was a lot of fun. Yeah. A way to introduce the characters, getting involved, sort of thing. I would love, like, when he's playing the guitar and his arms are swinging around, playing the guitar. Like, just a little thing like that, but they kept coming back to it during that chorus part. I thought it was a kind of neat little touch, and look visually spectacular, I thought.
And even the lyrics for it, too, it was him, you know, the whole history of Christmas, and all of it was absolutely wrong.
Yeah, like, you know how Santa, if you're bad, Santa comes with his flamethrower, and he's like, "You just have a flamethrower." Like, I just love Star-Lord's Quinn's reaction to the song is quite, again.
Yeah, James Gunn said one line there was like, "You guys just learned that?"
Yeah, oh yeah, you just started using these instruments, like, yeah.
Yeah,
I liked that we talked about this earlier, but this the plot of the whole special is, you know, the Mantis and Peter Quill kind of brother sister subplot. It was actually a deleted scene in Guardians 2 that you know, I think has further ramifications on Guardians of the Galaxy 3. So he wanted to, you know, get it out there for the audience to know that they're actually related. You know, so, and I you know, I've had this issue where I always thought Mantis was one of the weaker Guardians. She never really did much other than put people to sleep. But this special really, you know, raises her stock. You know, she's kicking butt. She's got character. She's having fun. It's I really, really enjoyed Mantis in this this whole special. You know, like her.
What you said before we started about is a great opportunity to give her more character development, and I thought they achieve it in a 45-minute short, entertaining, emotional. It had heart. It had soul. It had all these little things. And it built her character a lot more and built up a strong bond, which I believe, like you said, Matt, I think that's going to have some ramifications come Volume 3, probably.
Yeah.
It's a really good thing they did. Just the fact that she obviously cares about Peter. she's an empath, so she cares about a lot of people anyway, right? But
Mhm.
one thing I find about James Gunn, let's look at the Suicide Squad he did, right? He went through and purposely picked the stupidest characters. You know what I'm saying? Because he
Yeah.
thought he could have fun with it. So this is a great opportunity where he basically takes the two maybe not so smart characters because they're just oblivious to everything around them, and he really worked with that, and he really punched that up. You have these two people who don't know anything about anything going to Earth, who know very little things. What they do know, it's all backwards because they don't understand this world, and they're on this mission to find this great hero who saved a city by dancing, who trained Peter to save the galaxy with dancing, right? So what a
Yeah.
great concept. And then just the whole thing, like the whole, I love how Drax is just a doorknob. He's just so dumb, and how Mantis got mad at him all the time. Like the first time I watched it, thought it was really good. I watched it again last night, and just that beat of her just getting mad at him constantly all the time because he was just so stupid was so funny, so funny and entertaining.
Yeah, they really, the two characters, Drax and Mantis, what a great pairing, right? Like normally, you wouldn't do that in like volume 3 or something, but it was so perfect here to kind of show their character. And like Drax has always been kind of had his quirky character, but in this, I mean, Batista was really 10 times better than he's ever been for character, right? And the two of them together, because they're both so naive or so oblivious to everything. And you would think that two of the same characters, like Dumb and Dumber, would not work, but man, it never worked.
It did. They was able to play off each other so much. I mean, she was kind of the level-headed one, but still didn't know anything going on. He was just kind of like dumb. Like let's say like when they're walking down the Hollywood Strip, right? And they see this guy, Captain America guy, in his outfit, right? Steve, are running out, like, and then it just there. Of course, there was, I don't know if you heard, but they thought Drax was a God of War from the video game.
Oh yeah.
And of course, my favorite thing is when the one guy was dressed up as Psykill, the GoBot.
Yes.
And oh man, that was so just the fact that I don't know why. I think he even said something about the Psykill killed people on his planet or something. I think he said.
Yeah, that's why. And I think
I noticed a few things from the Hollywood walk thing too. Is one, I love how Mantis is super excited to see Steve, and then she kind of grimaces at Captain Marvel. And then it reminds me of like Rocket giving her a hard time in the Avengers movies. Like maybe it's because like Steve Rogers is like one of the OGs, where Captain Marvel is like she's a space hero, like they are. So maybe that's why he gives her a hard time as much. And there was also Kango posters in the background, if you saw those from Eternals.
Oh, I didn't know. No, I didn't see that. I have to watch it again.
And then two separate times in the show, you can see Kango posters. So I thought she was a little upset with Captain Marvel because she's got all this power, and yet she was out saving the universe, helping some other part of the universe, and not helping them when they needed it, sort of thing. That's why I kind of thought maybe they were kind of resenting her for that sort of thing. But
I thought too, when they were doing all the selfies with people getting paid, what I thought was funny is Drax. Every single photo, it just looks like he's like going to the bathroom. He's just like, he's got the same look. It's so funny because, and like when they go to the bar, and they're like, oh, let's come dance, and he's like, I don't dance. Dancing's for idiots. I was just laughing. I think he says that a couple times. He's like, no, I don't do that. It's for idiots. And
we gotta start like the Vegas odds on Drax doing a dance number in Guardians 3. Like that's just the way his character arc's going. He's gonna have to dance to do something.
Well, I've been thinking since Volume 2 that Mantis and Drax lost everything, and Mantis has been alone forever. I thought that there's that tension between them. Not tension, but there's obviously some kind of bond between those two characters.
It's chemistry, and it's like I kind of get the feeling it's going that direction too because of the way he's treated her and they've been back and forth.
Exactly.
But in that pair of Drax and Mantis, it's funny because Mantis thinks she's like so smart, and he's oblivious of everything she says anyways. It's like, he could be drinking from the toilet, and she's like, you're an idiot, don't drink from the toilet, you have to lift the seat first. Like, that's how she thinks she's knowledgeable of stuff. But of course they were both supposed to be so hammered, right? And Batista's laugh as Drax, like, makes me wonder, does he laugh like that? Because it's so funny when he's laughing at like people's demise or like terrible things. I was laughing. I forget what part. I had it written down.
Was it in the trailer where Peter Quill gets hit with a rock? And then he gets hit with a rock?
Even remember Volume 2 when Mantis reads his Peter Quill's emotions, you want to have sexual relations? Like, he's telling your darkest secrets. He's
like, do me.
Yeah, do me now. Like, he's just totally oblivious to everything and anything. Like, he thinks pain is, like, he thinks, like punching someone upside the head is good. You know what I'm saying? He just doesn't understand. Like, and that's why I love the fact that we're on Earth and they just have no concept of anything going on.
To be honest, though, I think I just remember what it was. It was when he was telling the story about how Yondu then kicked the tree over and broke it all and everything like this, and it comes back. And I think it was then where Drax is laughing at him or something. I was laughing before the scene came back. I thought, oh, why am I laughing? That's not supposed to be a funny scene.
Well, he's like, what was your favorite that story? It was really funny when Yondu kicked over the tree. Like, he'd find that's hilarious when somebody's destroying something, because his name is Drax the Destroyer. That's his real name, right? So anything that's getting destroyed, he thinks is hilarious. Whether it's good or bad, it doesn't matter. It's just like, when Yondu killed that tree, it's like, it was hilarious. Like, he just doesn't know. It's pretty funny.
I think Kevin Bacon did a really good job playing Kevin Bacon, especially when they get him on the ship to go back, and they're like you were talking about this, like, tell us the story how you saved the city with dance, because Peter did the same thing. He saved the universe with dance, right? And it was because of your influence. And he's like, oh no, that was just a character. Well, tell us about this. Well, that was another character. And at one point, I think it was Drax goes, wait a minute, are you an actor?
You're an actor?
And she's like throwing up in her mouth.
I love that there was that like inside joke where they just like hated actors, where it's just like the worst profession.
The worst.
It's because of Hollywood's bad reputation in the last several years. So they were kind of throwing it out there, right? Because of if you look at Ricky Gervais, right? The whole the disconnect from reality that he blasted them for, and that won the Golden Globes last year. And I think they were kind of playing off that, like Nebula at the end is like, oh, see, I guess not all actors, because Kevin Bacon's a really cool guy at the end, are human pieces of shit or something like this.
Piece of crap. Yeah.
I thought that was really.
I like that they also included Kevin Bacon's wife, Kira Sedgwick. Like, calls her a couple times, and like an uncredited cameo as well for her, because it's part of his life, right? So,
yeah.
And
he looks good for a guy in his 60s, right?
He looks fantastic, right?
And he's got all his hair. I hate him.
Well, I want to go back to the spaceship part when they talk about how Kevin Bacon, you saved your city or your world with dance, blah blah blah. And then the next one that the other movie reference was you stopped Jason Voorhees.
Oh yes,
because one of Kevin Bacon's first movies was Friday the 13th Part 1, where Jason wasn't the killer, but he got an arrow through the neck. Tom Savini effects, it looked amazing. It pokes through his neck, blood squirts up. But he was in Friday the 13th Part 1.
But I like how he explained it, though, and he was kind of laughing about it. It was like, no, actually this. And didn't he tell something like behind the scenes thing?
He said basically, no, and that character actually, he died with an arrow through the neck.
Right.
He got stabbed with an arrow through the neck, and he kind of laughed it off. And that's when they discovered, you're an actor. And just like how he was a piece of the biggest POS in the galaxy, and they're like throwing up and hurling, and they're so disappointed. Oh, we got a terrible gift. We got the worst gift in the world.
They're like, we hate you. You're a loser.
They just kept putting him down. Like, he was the lowest. Thanos was regarded higher than he was. You know what I'm saying? Like, everything was better than Kevin Bacon at that moment in time. I thought it was
such a good sport about it. Like credibility wise, I like Kevin Bacon more now because he's in this. He took such a verbal beating, and
I saw an interview with Kevin Bacon where they said, how'd you get involved? And I said, well, they reached out and they asked me, and like, it's James Gunn. I like his work, so like, I said yes. I knew it'd be fun, sort of thing, and he just went with it, right? And if you're an actor, if you can't make fun of yourself, nothing was making fun of they weren't making fun of his movies or anything, but they were making fun of him, and he just went with it. And that's what makes it so good, because he just goes like, I love that, like, oh no, you're a hero, pretend you're a hero. He starts, all right, governor, let's go on the ball. Like, he starts telling his English accent, like, let's go with the wall. Like, why are you talking like that? Well, because just talk normally. I'm Batman. I'm Bruce Wayne. What are you talking about? Like, they have no idea what's going on, which I just makes such an amusing moment, because it's just like there's three people and not one of them know what's going on, which I thought was, except for Kevin Bacon, just kind of brainwashed sort of thing.
Do you know what I thought was really strange in the episode was in the episodes where they're at Kevin Bacon's house and stuff, and I mean these like, this part was hilarious, his little green guy and everything, and they were so innocent and naive. Man. But when they get to Kevin Bacon's house and he throws Mantis over the fence, she's like, okay, throw me over, and he just grabs her without waiting, and then he jumps over, and I thought, ooh, go back and watch that scene. I thought, wow, that's janky special effects. Him coming over the fence looked weird to me. I have to watch it again, but it looked janky. And actually, all the jumping in that whole special was weird. It was janky.
See, that's what comes with the time. Like, I thought the Drax jump looked good. It looked decent. I know exactly what you're saying, Steve. Like, but it was a real jump. It wasn't CGI. Like, you can tell it was real. It was a person on a rig, is what you can.
But it almost looked like it was weird. It was like the direction on how it went, and even with her jumping in the house, it seemed off, because I didn't realize that they were filming this during Volume 3. So I thought, okay, well, it's not a big deal. There's no money in this, right? Like, it's not like they're going to give him millions and millions of dollars for special effects for a 45-minute episode. So I just thought they cut corners.
Well, my guess is they probably didn't do 17 takes. They probably spent an hour and a half on the jump instead of 5 hours, right? To make it perfect. I know exactly what you're saying, but I thought the story around it, again, and there was one where Mantis is chasing Kevin Bacon through the house. I watched it the first time, that was janky as heck. I watched the second time, and it didn't look as bad the second time. I don't know why, because I knew it was going to happen, so it just looked a lot smoother. But I know exactly. But even when she's jumping at him after Kevin Bacon up the walls, it didn't look like it was CGI. You know what I'm saying? I think there's a rig that she was on, and they just sped. I think, but again, I still think, I just think that it was more of a, I think it's a run and gun kind of special sort of thing. And but again, it didn't deter from the story, I thought.
Yeah, and I also thought too, when he had called the police and he was running away, and all the cars show up and they get out, they're like, Kevin Bacon, you called the police? Because he's a rich celebrity, so they all to him. I thought it was pretty funny because they called him by name. I thought that was hilarious.
Well, even like you talk about janky, the muzzle flashes on the gun, that was very janky. That looked very, very, very quick, I thought too. But again, small. But I love the fact he's shooting Drax and he's laughing, right? Stop it! I'm gonna pee my pants. He's getting shot with a Glock. It's a Glock, right, Matt? I'm sure it was a Glock. Is that what it was? Yeah.
I could watch them like do a fake drunk podcast. Drax and Mantis. I could watch that every week if it was a new thing, the two of them pretending to be their characters. It'd be hilarious.
Like, I even like the go back to the house scene where Drax has his little green man and she has a candy cane, right? And when he goes, and Kevin Bacon's run away, he's like, I lost my green man. Well, what's more important, the green man or Kevin Bacon? Green man? No, not green man. Well, you have your man. This is not a man. The candy cane? I don't think it's a man. Like, the fact they had no idea what the candy cane was, right? This is so good. Again, but they use a candy cane later on in the show too, right? Like, it wasn't just for nothing. It had a purpose, right? Because later on, when the cops were out there, the cops, and they're shooting at Drax, and he throws one of the cop cars upside down. You can't kill people. Why not? No one's telling me, why can't I kill people? Like, he has no clue. Then, of course, she exchanges her candy cane. Like, is this a man? She's asking the police, is this a man? No, I didn't think so. But you can have it, so we're even now. I thought it just shows how they're so clueless, and it makes it very entertaining, the fact that they're just oblivious to everything.
I tell you what, Marvel is going to suffer losing James Gunn to DC, and DC is going to benefit. I hope.
I think so too. Yeah.
Well, because when he did the Suicide Squad, they backed off. The executives backed off and let him do his thing.
Yeah, just give him money and back away.
You know, and you look, and that's a shame. Like Marvel never should have. Sorry, wasn't Marvel? Disney never should have fired James Gunn. You know, for something. You know, his Twitter things made jokes 12 years ago. Okay, yeah. You know, the world's changed in 12 years. He knows that.
But he unfortunately got caught up in the politics of the time.
And absolutely, and that's you know. But I think it's a snap decision. You know, they didn't think things through, and then he went and made this movie. DC goes, "Oh, wow, this is really good." You know, it wasn't a super commercial success because of COVID and stuff, but you know, he told a really good story. He had freedom. They went, "Hey, how about you just run us?" Right? Like they got a gold mine. Is what they did.
Yeah. It's always good, right? It seems, in my opinion, Hollywood is losing a lot of creative people. Like way back in the day, talking like an old guy, you had Lucas's, you had Spielberg's, right? You had all these people that were very creative and original and stuff like this, and could kind of unite fans and non-fans into watching what they make, right? And it's like James Gunn seems to have that as well, right? With the things, some of the, you know, the things that he's doing, especially with Guardians of the Galaxy. Because like you said, and I never knew much about the Guardians of the Galaxy, but they weren't like a top-rated comic book. It's kind of like what Favreau did with Iron Man. You know what I mean?
Iron Man was a B, C character in the Marvel universe. Like by far, like hardly. I didn't even go see it in the theater because why would they make an Iron Man movie? It made no sense to me.
Well, that's a really good take for Steve. And you could argue that John Favreau is a lot like Gunn in a way where he does. Yeah, they're doing these commercial superhero movies, but there is very artistic side to it too, right? Like there is a very much an originality to it. The Guardians and Iron Man, they're like. There was something we had never seen before in a superhero movie before. Even with Suicide Squad, something we'd never seen before in a superhero movie, right? So they still have that, you know, that auteur originality that they're doing, but they're making superhero movies. They're making these billion-dollar franchises, right? So,
because they love the content, they love the material they're working with, the source material. Like there's been so many movies, past movies made of comic book movies, video game movies. When you Jason versus Freddy, where the director didn't watch any other movies. There's no, you don't have that connection. If you don't love the characters, what are you doing? Where Favreau loves Star Wars. You know, he loves these Marvel characters. Kevin Feige has a passion for these characters. James Gunn, you have to understand the characters to build that, right? You know what I'm saying? You have to think, and he's able to do that. Like whether it's the Suicide Squad, whether it's the Guardians, you know, he tells a story with heart, with passion, with emotion, and you get sucked into the characters. Like you look at this, like when now after they get Kevin Bacon, they take him up to nowhere, right? To me, that scene where Peter Quill comes out and they start turning on all the lights, I thought that was so good. They're playing the song. It's Christmas Time from the Smashing Pumpkins, which I love this song. You know, and just how everything's lighting up. It was so. I just got caught up in the emotion.
Yeah, I did want to touch on that. Where, you know, it's a hot take from me and me alone. I didn't much care for the song at the end with Kevin Spacey Kevin
Bacon,
Bacon, yeah.
But I really loved the emotional beats that they're hitting. You know, with the gift exchanges and the Mantis and Peter's exchange, where this is the best Christmas present I could ever get. You know, like it was really, really beautiful. I just didn't really care for the song very much.
I agree too, but I like the song they're playing when Peter Quill walked out. It's a Smashing Pumpkins song. I really love that one. It really hit all those emotional parts. I think and Mantis is directing everybody turn on the lights and it got bigger and bigger and bigger, and he was just blown away what everybody is doing for him, right? And then of course we have Groot walking out with this box. And then the box, he's like, "You guys shouldn't have." Then all of a sudden the box moves. Goes, "What's in the box, guys?" Like,
it's like I really can't breathe in here anymore.
It's like. I was like, oh man, it just goes all haywire from there, and he's all mad, and he was excited as Kevin Bacon, but at the same time, they kidnapped it's human trafficking.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I
right.
was thinking today that it probably took Rocket like probably 10 minutes to set up all those lights.
Probably,
Yeah.
knowing him, right? Yeah. But yeah, I thought it was so funny. And then one of my favorite parts, like, I am Groot. Because, well, now you think it's a bad idea. You're wheeling him out smiling. What do you mean? You think it's a bad idea now? Like, you're like, I am Groot. It's just what James Gunn has done with that character, Groot. Like, just those words alone, it's always so much fun how he works it in to he's actually saying something, and it just. Yeah, I just find what James Gunn does, whether it's this, the Suicide Squad. I don't know if you've ever seen the Peacemakers TV series. If you haven't watched that, it's a must watch. He's just so good on his character beats and what he does with the characters. Every character has a purpose, whether it's little or big. Everything is not random. Just everything has purpose, sort of thing. Which I think you said earlier, Matt. Like, Nebula seemed like a grouch all the way through, but at the very end, she gets Rocket. This amazing gift, right? This amazing gift.
Winter Soldier's arm. Yeah. Bucky's
Yeah, well,
arm.
we can. Yeah, well, the Bucky's arm. The fact that.
Do you think Bucky got another arm, or do you think she went to Earth and ripped it off his body and brought it back to nowhere?
Well, it didn't look like it didn't look like it was torn off. It looked like it was.
But it was
it
his Wakandan arm, which we've seen in Falcon and the Winter Soldier can come off.
Yeah.
But like I actually read a thing online where they're probably have a new arm for Captain America 4 and for the other show, the MCU's version of or the Thunderbolts.
Thunderbolts, yeah.
He's gonna have a new arm just for like toys and all that stuff. So maybe he retired that old arm and then she just got it out of his closet.
I even love how they keep. I love how they go back to the whole thing. Getting Kevin Bacon as a callback to Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1. Yeah. The whole Bucky's arm's a callback to Infinity War, and when Rocket says, I'm going to have that arm. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just love how it called back to other storylines. You know what I'm saying? It was when that happens, it's like, oh, it's just brilliant.
Yeah. Even Bradley Cooper's delivery of Bucky's arm, that it's like it was such a touching gift to him. He is genuinely like, Bucky's arm, like this half robot woman, space woman, really cares about this guy, right? Or this little raccoon.
And that's a really good point. You're saying, like, every little interaction, that little, like, again, I hated the Kevin Bacon song too. I'm thinking his vocals are fine. I just don't like that type of. Yeah. It sounds too country for me, and I hate country music. So, but they did a nice job of working in all those emotional beats. Like you're saying, the gift exchange was so. Every one of those gifts exchange had a feeling to it and heart to it. Like, when Groot made all these little statues that showed the progression of the movie. Yeah. The last one is, I can't remember the guy's.
He's sitting there holding.
He's holding the statue of himself, holding the thing, looking at himself all the way down. It was so brilliant. Like, little things like that. It just went so far. I thought it was just really, really good.
Yeah, I thought it was hilarious.
Like, to me, it was above my expectation. I was going with high expectations, and sometimes it kind of burns you, but it exceeded my expectations, like from the animation all the way through.
It was really fun. It's something that I could watch again, right, during the season or whenever, because it was funny. It wasn't cheesy. There wasn't any part that made you go, okay, you know what I mean? Like, there wasn't anything political. There wasn't anything. It was just the running joke around Christmas for Peter and Kevin Bacon. That was the whole thing. And two drunk idiots.
I mean, it holds up with, like, Rudolph and Frosty and all the other Die Hard, all the other great Christmas movies of our past. Right. We'll watch it every year now at Christmas time, and
I'll have to do that.
I'll probably watch it one more time. I enjoyed it again so much. I almost watched it again right afterwards because I enjoyed it so much, and just get those little beats and that little comedy stuff, and just me and Matt watch a lot of movies and we study great filmmakers and just try to learn their timing and beats and stuff like that. So, like, I just really appreciate what he did, and just again, the gift giving, the whole, and then, like, the whole big thing built up this one big huge character development, which was that Mantis is the half sister of Peter Quill, and just his reaction to it, like, he's the greatest. It was again very touching, very emotional. It had heart. You know what I'm saying? And it gave it a little. right in the heart, sort of thing, right? Like what you want from a Christmas special, right? You know, you watch the Charlie Brown Christmas special, and everybody's like, "Oh, Charlie, you blockhead!" And then they make the tree a beautiful thing. They all sing the song, right? You know, everything has heart, everything has purpose, but every character had something to do with it. Even the fact that they're going to take Kevin Bacon home, and goes like, "You know what? I got to stay. Some people just need some help with the Christmas spirit, right?"
Yeah.
It was just a nice little thing, and yeah, it was a nice, warm, fuzzy thing. And there's the fact that now that's 2 holiday specials that Marvel's done, and they've both been very, very effective, I thought, for what they're trying to achieve.
Yeah. Yeah. I really enjoyed it. So, but hey, speaking of Guardians of the Galaxy, let's have a quick look at the Volume 3 trailer. And
I was pretty pumped about. I was pretty pumped when this dropped.
We were gone for quite a while. But no
Love
matter
that
what
ship.
happens next, the galaxy still needs its guardians. Hello, I'm in peace. Come on, Drax. Seriously, dude?
I should be laughing at that, right? Like this
The
music is so good.
Oh, so good.
The music.
Where we came from.
Aww. We have been
The
running
colors. It's nice.
our whole lives.
That's Peter Quill.
Pete,
Yeah.
I'm done running.
This shot gets me every time.
We'll fly away together. One last time. Into the forever.
This shot right here. That shot. Look at that.
Beautiful sky.
Oh,
Of course, you have to have your Drax moment.
And we'll kill anyone who gets in our way.
No, not kill anyone.
Kill a few people.
Kill no people.
Kill one guy, one stupid guy who no one loves.
Now you're just making it sad.
Like that. Like to me, this is like Avengers type feel sort of thing. You know, like I was so pumped with the Avengers movies. You know, Infinity War. You know, Endgame. This to me ranks right up there. I love this ensemble. I love what James Gunn has done in the Marvel universe. And yeah,
it feels like a culmination of like everything the Guardians have done up until this point. Even right down to they're wearing their classic uniforms. Right in the first frame of the trailer, they stepping off the ship. They're all wearing their classic uniforms. It's like this is what they've been building to. It's gonna be great.
I don't
one
know.
last time.
I don't know if everybody's going to come out of this movie alive. I don't think. I think there might be a lot of tears at the end of this film. I think.
Yeah.
I think they're kind of they're cleaning house in a lot because a lot of people, like if you look at the other Marvel movies, everyone's contracts are up. I think Chris Hemsworth still has something left, but most everyone, their contracts are up. I think some of this is going to happen too. Like I had heard maybe the rumor was that Mantis was going to be killed. Like that was going to be the whole, like, oh, you're Peter's sister. And then she dies once he, like so suddenly and stuff. That's going to be, and he's being carried at the end. But who knows when he's being carried.
You don't know. And Drax is obviously shot. He's got a big bullet hole in him, right? Like,
Yeah.
Something I noticed the second time watching this, it's actually the third time I've watched this now, but I think that Gamora is in a prison run by the High Evolutionary, and they break her out.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
That would mirror Guardians 1. Because they're all there's that scene where they're all wearing the prison jumpsuits. And then she's walking out with them. And we know that Peter and them, they've been looking for her since the events of Endgame.
Yeah, since she left. Yeah.
Yeah, so couple things too, like the High Evolutionary looks amazing. Adam Warlock looks amazing. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I think I'm just a prediction of mine. The planet they land on at the beginning of the movie, I think that's Counter Earth. The High Evolutionary builds. It looks way too similar to Earth, except all the inhabitants are all like animal creatures, right?
But that makes sense because obviously he's
Counter Earth on the back opposite side of the sun that he built.
I know that this movie's focusing a lot on Rocket's origin story. That I have heard. He's gonna be one of the main principal characters that they're telling the story around. So
yeah,
because the first two movies set up Rocket lots. Like you don't know much about him, but they have touched on the fact that it's built into something. You could tell in the story structures of the first two movies that Rocket would have more of a story.
Well, if you think about it too, the main villain for this movie, the High Evolutionary, he's a genetically altered super villain, right? Rocket is a genetically altered animal. They land on that planet with a whole bunch of genetically altered animals. Could be his home planet, could be, like it all ties together. We don't know how, but it all ties together.
Well, there's that planet they're bouncing around in colored suits. I don't know if you're not. There's hair follicles on that planet. If you look at it again, there's the things. They're not trees. They look like hair follicles.
Huh.
If you go back and look at the trailer when they're bouncing around, I believe the planet looks like flesh, and it looks like follicles.
Do
a deep dive here. My kids when they saw, they thought of Among Us. The suits are all colored like Among Us.
Oh yeah,
the spaceships, like if it's a little video game. So yeah, there's the shot. Another shot is when they're bouncing around. Just the music, like James Gunn's trailers of all for all 3 volumes, the music it's just astounding. It just really builds that familiar. Everybody knows the song. It just builds up so nicely.
See that when they're carrying Phil unconscious, Rock is just drinking a big gulp.
Is he really?
Yeah. Go back to that shot where he's like unconscious. It can't be that right there.
Oh, he is. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
It looks like a slushy. Yeah. Rocket is the raccoon.
Oh, jeez. There he is. That's
that's one thing I forgot to mention. We talked about the holiday special when Kevin Bacon look at raccoon and he got all mad at him like he hates being called a raccoon.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
So it's coming.
See, and there's
there's a prison. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Oh, Steve, good catch there, buddy. I never even thought of that. Or was it Matt? There it is, right here.
Matt,
see right there? Yeah. That's the hair follicles. Look, it looks like flesh.
Organic for sure. Yeah.
Maybe that little. See that looks like hair
right here.
Oh,
yeah. Ew. Another living planet or something.
Yeah. Maybe they're. Maybe it's Dad. Who knows?
Yeah. So
that quill shot when he's screaming or whatever he's doing, like that shot looks so intense. Like it's the kind of guys that you have this shot of pure joy, then there's a shot of pure terror, and there's a shot of anger, and there's like, and this is another like I love this shot here. It reminds me of Volume 1 too, right? When him and Rocket were doing that in the prison scene, right?
Yeah, but this is more elevated. He's got 8 arms. It looks so badass. Groot.
That is, that's awesome. It's looking, I think they're just, you know what I mean? They're going to recast because people are done. They're getting older. They just, for sure, Batista's not doing it anymore, right? Because
he said he wasn't going to.
He doesn't like not wearing a shirt. And I noticed in the holiday special and then the trailer here, he's wearing a shirt, right? He doesn't want to do that anymore. And
well, he's getting older too, right? He's getting older. Like, I don't know how old he is, but he's not young.
Makeup too.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of pressure too, right? People don't think of that, like Hemsworth, all the steroids and working out he's got to do just to get ready for a movie and then not drink water ever, right? Because when they take a shirt off, you don't look like that, right? Without dehydrating your body for like 2 days or whatever it is. And he's got to do a scene where he doesn't have a shirt on. So I'm sure he was happy when he was Fat Thor.
Well,
that suit.
He did like that. He did say that. But I heard that Chris Hemsworth is taking a break from acting right now because of he got did this limitless TV series. He got tested, and his blood work came back that he's got a lot of genetic traits that it's a sign of getting Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
Oh.
So
Wow.
so that diagnosis made him
family, but he's also said that if somebody comes in and has a new take on Thor and something that's he's willing to do it, he'll do it. I mean, he loves that character so much, right? Where it's, if he comes back, it's going to be one last time, and then
Well, it's because the last couple of films, especially the last one, I think he wants to do. I don't think he was thrilled about the last film, and I don't think it did very well. And I think, that's what he said. He's like, if they want to relook at Thor and maybe do it in a different way, which means I don't want to be a comedy, and I don't want to be the butt of all the jokes. I want Thor to be Thor.
No,
that's what I got from it.
No, he likes the way Thor, like, he helped make Thor like that. He wanted to have that, like
the one with what was the one before? I forget what it was called. Ragnarok.
Yeah.
That was awesome. Like, because the first two movies, they didn't hit as well as they had hoped. So when that came out, and it was very jokey at first, I was like, oh, what's going on? But I really warmed up to it. I loved how him and Hulk interacted with each other.
Well, he was in the first two Thor movies and the first Avengers movie, he was very one-dimensional.
Yes, exactly.
The kind of like sports bro.
Yeah,
sports bro. And he was good with the Guardians of the Galaxy in I forget which movie it was, when him and Peter has this rivalry
Infinity
with him
War,
that he doesn't understand. And stuff like that. But I think I don't think he wants it as jokey, but the two-dimensional characters weren't working either, right? So, but Ragnarok, I thought that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Ragnarok is a fantastic.
It was a lot of fun.
It's a fantastic film. I really liked the last one. Is it as good as Ragnarok? No, but I still thought it was very, very good and very, very entertaining, and I really enjoyed it. Again, I think it's a little more goofy because it's told from the perspective of Quark. That's why I think it's a little more goofy.
When you told me that, Todd, I rewatched it and I actually enjoyed it more the second time. Where
because Quark is
actually the narrator of the film. He starts it open and he bookends it at the end. So through his eyes, it is a very ridiculous kind of goofy kind of story to tell. So it actually makes a lot more sense that way, right?
But even going through the Avengers movies into this movie, I mean, Thor is just kind of goofy, right? Like he was the Big Lebowski in the last film
and Endgame,
and in Endgame, and now he's kind of like Forrest Gump, hippie child.
Well, that's what
comedian, right?
With the point that Todd made is he's embellished because he's not telling the story like he was in Ragnarok. Korg is not telling the story. Korg is just he's another one of those funny, ignorant kind of space creatures that like doesn't really understand stuff, right? So telling a story to a bunch of kids, he's gonna embellish it a little bit. So
and Thor's not smart. He's not a smart man. He's not. He fights. But before he partied, right? He's all about partying and all about fighting, he wasn't educated really. Like Loki's smart, witty,
But he's got some kind of wisdom. If you're looking at what people considered gods, because they're beyond thousands of years old, and as it turns out, they're just aliens somewhere. There'd be some kind of wisdom. What I think they need to do is they need to reinvent the whole thing with Hemsworth, and maybe go tie into some of that other fandom with like Vikings, and go like superhero / heavy Norse stuff, and see what I don't know if they would spend that kind of money. I don't know. I think Thor is.
I think he gets a bit of wisdom.
Might be dumb.
Now with the Odin Force now too. Now that Odin's dead, he gets it. Now that there's wisdom that comes with that too, right? So it's kind of like the Super Soldier Serum, where it just like enhances everything he already got. And he's stated in, that he is educated, because he's like, You're like, oh, you speak Groot? And he's like, yeah, I was an elective on Asgard. You know,
Yeah.
so, like, they have education. You know, so
Yeah, that's funny.
yeah, I just think I think like the last two movies, he's just been kind of like frat bro, where
Right.
you know, like the first two movies he was kind of like just like jock guy, and then
Yeah.
like then it was like Thor in college, you know, and then you know.
Well, I think he's growing up. He's about 1,500 years old, but he hasn't had. He's spoiled, right? He was a spoiled little brat in the first movie. You know, expect everything to happen. You know, just everything come to him. You know, like, oh, I'm Odin's son. Like it just should happen, right? Like that was an interesting take on what if. There's where if Thor didn't go home after the first Thor movie, where he just turned planet Earth into a big party.
Yeah,
a big party planet. It was destroying the Earth. So if you haven't seen that, that's a really good take on what Thor was, and he was just a party animal. That's all he was. So he's not smart. Everything is about battle, destruction, destroying, winning, and partying. That's all his life was. And he's learned after meeting Jane Foster. He's learned lots, and then he's had more responsibilities when Dad dies and Loki dies. And then now I think he's going to grow more as a character now that he just suffered some post-traumatic stress. And
he sounds
now
like
he's a father.
he sounds like the perfect Viking to me.
Well, exactly, right? But that's it. But, you know, Loki wasn't like that. Loki was much more smart. He always his prize was, I want to rule, right? So that was always his goal. Where
It was
Thor
their
didn't care
strength,
about ruling,
right? Like,
yeah,
Loki wasn't the mighty Thor, so he used his strengths, which were, you know, other stuff, intelligence, the magic, and whatever.
And that's the whole thing. Like with Bruce, you look at the Hulk, Bruce Banner. You have this one of the smartest people on Earth, but then when his superpowers kick in, he's one of the dumbest people on Earth. He's a child, right? But super strong. So it's a neat kind of balance sort of thing, right? So I think all the characters, which I think what Marvel's doing really well, is that they're working the characters in and using them to the best of their abilities, sort of thing, and to help tell really fun, entertaining, engaging stories, especially when they have the big collaborations coming together with all the different characters.
Right. Now, I mean, I don't think that they should go super serious, because I think Thor, the first one, you know, it was very, very serious. The second one was pretty serious as well. I don't think they should go fully back, because Marvel's always got a lot of humor and whatnot in their films, right? Like, but you know, there can be a balance, and you know, maybe Hemsworth is just, maybe he's really done, but you don't close the doors, right? You say, oh, you know, they always do that. Oh, if there was another one, I would totally consider it, but he might be done with the character, especially if they come back and they just do the same thing again. He might be like, nah, go out and find another muscle guy.
I feel if he's got another film on his contract, they might save it for not the next Avengers movie coming up, but the one after that. There's Kang Dynasty, and then there's
Secret Wars.
Right. I've heard rumors that they want to bring as many of the
legacy characters
as they can. So they want to bring back RDJ, and they want to bring back all the Spider-Man, Wolverine, Halle Berry is Storm. They want to bring everybody back. The Fantastic Four.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, wow. I've heard that this is just a rumor mill online that Kang Dynasty is going to kind of end the same way as Infinity War, where like the first wave is going to get beaten, and then the next one is going to be them going through the multiverse recruiting more heroes to fight Kang. So that's where you're going to get, you know, like Sue Storm and you know, and Wolverine and Deadpool and all these guys.
But is there a lot of heroes in Marvel though? Like, aren't they out of heroes?
They have Fox now. They got 20th Century Fox now.
They got
heroes. You like 5,000 Marvel characters. Or
there's a few to work off of. Yes,
there's like thousands.
They got Ghost Rider. They can bring Nicolas Cage back.
Oh, I heard that's gonna be. I heard it's gonna be the guy from Walking Dead. That's what I heard.
Yes. Yeah, I heard Keanu Reeves also wants to play Ghost Rider.
Oh,
Keanu Reeves.
Yeah. I thought Keanu Reeves would make a great Wolverine, but yeah, like
do you think Wolverine?
No.
I think
everyone says that he would make a great Revan in Star Wars if they ever decided to do that.
Oh yeah,
but I don't think Star Wars wants to do anything like that, because then they have to pay royalties to whoever put it, and they don't. So they just take a character and peel over it and then make that character. But it would just be an easy an easy thing, right? But
Mhm.
yeah, Wolverine. Keanu Reeves is Wolverine.
Well, that's why I heard, Wolverine, anything, you like. I'm sure he'd be fine. I hear he wants in, but who doesn't want in the Marvel universe, right?
Well, yeah.
Who
It's a
doesn't like
paycheck.
money?
It's a pretty good paycheck, and the
Yeah.
movies do really well, right? Even though the bad ones or the weaker ones do really, really well. So
It's funny with Keanu Reeves though. He's a weird Canadian guy, where he's just a different kind of celebrity, right? Where he's not so disconnected. Where was it the second Matrix movie? He gave all his paycheck to the leukemia charity or something,
yeah.
like because his sister died from it.
Yeah, and he bought all his stuntman motorcycles. He's a very humble, generous, like really great guy.
And have you ever seen that video where he's
nicest celebrities? He's always on the top of those lists.
Yeah.
Well, have you seen that video where he's on the subway sitting and someone's like filming him, and this lady is on there and she's standing there and he looks like he's in that stare you get when you're on a bus or something, and he kind of looks and he sees this woman that's just standing there and he gives her his seat.
Yeah.
Doesn't know anyone's filming him. No one's like, oh, Keanu Reeves in his face. Probably a lot of people didn't even know who he was.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of cool. Well, I guess he's sort of Canadian. I mean, he grew up here for a while. He apparently still has the passport. So
he's proudly Canadian. He lives in Toronto.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's where I think, he's got a couple of backgrounds, but.
Well, I think he's got a condo in Toronto. That's his main, where he lives.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
He's a cool dude. I seen a video where somebody hit his motorbike, and then he was.
Yeah.
And then he was like really nice about it, sort of thing. The person apologized, sort of thing, and the bike started up, and he didn't press charges, and just like took off on it.
Away, yeah.
Yeah, he seems like a pretty cool guy. I love to see him in the Marvel universe.
So how are we doing for time, Todd?
I don't have to go anywhere until later. So
good. I was like, oh no, we're getting up.
Well, we should look at the Bad Batch. Season 2 is coming out January 4th, right?
January 4th. Yes. Let's. Oops.
I'm pretty stoked about this.
Let me I'll share the screen here. Yeah, this is like one of my top series for Star Wars in the Disney era, I think.
Next to the Ewoks from the 80s Ewoks cartoon, right?
Oh yeah.
It's not playing my end, Steve. Is it playing your end? There it goes.
Yeah, it's playing. Should be. I like the drop shifts. Like those.
Oh, this is the top thing. The run for. See. We should more. You want to
That
really be
looks
free?
awesome.
Then pull off this heist, and you can have a future.
Omega looks a little older.
More and more clones have
Yeah.
been questioning the order. Then they are traitors, like the Jedi.
You all gave up everything because of me.
We made the right choice, Omega. But there are others out there who need our help.
What sort of treachery is this?
Frickin-
Stay back.
Watch
I
this.
forget his name, the Jedi.
Not the enemy. They establish order throughout the galaxy.
Peace. Peace was never an option.
We're soldiers. We do what needs to be done. Move. You know what makes us different? We make our own choices. What do you need, Rex? Any chance I could use you for a mission?
Parents, The Bad Batch. New season streaming January 4th, only on Plus.
So very cool. Some of their armor is different. Like Hunter, I noticed it's almost looking like Mandalorian. Well, I mean, the Republic Trooper armor when they made it, they were trying to kind of emulate the Mandalorian armor, right? Because it was so useful. But it kind of looked like that. The coloring's all different, and
They look like they're more like
yeah.
hiding out sort of thing now. Where now it's white, so they're more darker colors. Look like.
Mhm.
But it looks again. It looks like a good season. You know, it's a lot to see. Rex is obviously coming back into the series, so that's kind of cool to see him in another series.
Yeah, it looks like that. They're
They do look a little bit older too, right?
mhm.
Yeah, Omega looks like she's handling herself a little bit better. Running and gunning. Is that the Wookiee with the lightsaber? Zalbar? Is that his name?
No, it starts with a G. It's go. He was in the Clone Wars.
Was he really?
Apparently, was it the Clone Wars? And he was he was helping. What's his name? Mace Windu. There was an episode with that, and this is where Mace gets his purple, the Kyber crystal or something, or gets a purple. It's like a purple stone or something, and we have to remember too. This is taking part like just as the Empire takes over. I mean, I guess it's a couple of years, so they should be still running into a lot of people, like a lot of Jedis that haven't been caught yet, right? Like,
yeah.
So I find it really interesting. It's still kind of in the middle of the mess, whereas where we see Andor, it's kind of like they have more control over everything. I mean, they're spread out very thin. Don't get me wrong; they just have more control. Where this is still like,
Fresh.
the clones just killed all the Jedi, and the Emperor took over.
Yeah, well, you can see there's an infusion of some stormtroopers, right? And so the clones are going out. There's going to be a little bit more of that conflict going on, I think, in this series again too, right? Where they're transitioning from clones to troopers, which will cause nice little tension too, I think.
I didn't get a grasp on the tone and the genre of this season. Is it going to be a heist kind of, or is it going to be like the kind of like the Imperial Senate side, like the Galactic Republic side? Because it shows all of it, right? Is it going to be a mesh of all of that stuff?
I think they're going to be like, with all their animated series, it seems to get really deeper and darker by the second season. So it's like, we had the Bad Batch doing, little mission here, a little mission there to like make money. And I think we might be looking at them getting more involved in the rebellion or
the start of
the
whatever
beginnings of whatever it is. We're looking at maybe more behind the scenes, like at the Senate, what's going on in the Senate with like the Emperor is there now doing stuff. Like, how is that going? Like, we see how it is by Andor, right? It's right before he dismantles it anyways, and hardly anyone's there and no one's paying attention or no one cares, or they bought into the Empire. So we're kind of seeing a mixture of all this kind of stuff, and we're going to see kind of like the, what Omega, what she is, because she's like a clone. That would be like, my prediction is she was a newer version of a clone. She's going to be better than the other clones, blah, 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 right? We had thought maybe last year she would be like Jedi or something.
Force sensitive.
But I think Force sensitive, but I think she's going to be like an improved clone because she's still like them. She was still cloned off of Jango. She just is female and stuff like that. So that's where I think they're going to go with that. But what I like too, she doesn't look like, she still looks like she's learning and young, like she's doing better with that bow and she's older and stuff like this.
Like
but
a year, like not even a year, not even any more than that after Genosis, after the finale of the first season. But she does look older, and she does look like she's kind of running and gunning with the boys a little bit better, right? Where she just kind of came into her own in the last couple episodes in the first season. But
it seems like she's still learning, which is just really good. Where it's like a natural progression.
Yeah, well, she has the genes for it, right, to be able to pull off, some special abilities because she
definitely
is a clone and all clone from Jango Fett, right? So
I had a thought last night when I was right before I went to bed, and it's my, I hope it's my early Christmas present. It wouldn't happen before Christmas, but Depending on how many seasons they have of the Bad Batch, it would be cool if they ended it with a live action movie.
Live action. Ooh.
Yeah, like a live action standalone. You do 3, 4, 6 seasons, whatever it is, but like do a live, like finish with like. I would love to if John Favreau or Kathleen Kennedy are watching. Let me do a live action Bad Batch movie.
There you go.
I mean, at the end of the animated series, it would be, because it's so like one of the things I like of what they've been doing with the Star Wars universe, and we've talked about it before with what they've done it with the Marvel universe, is they're delving into different genres, you know, which I really like. But it still all ties together. But their different shows have different genres, you know, like the Boba Fett had very much like kind of like that Western vibe to it. You know, but these guys, I feel like it's like kind of like a heist kind of tone to it, feeling to it, you know. So like a group that are doing jobs together, right? So yeah, I just really love just the way that they each individual show has a different kind of tone to it.
Yeah, I definitely got a heist feeling for the. Obviously, it sounds like they're trying to steal some kind of starship or something. That'd be their kind of vehicle sort of thing. What it sounds like anyway from the trailer. So maybe it's building up to that. That's maybe that their big, huge thing they have is like, I don't know, but yeah, I definitely got that feeling about a heist type feeling, right?
Do we know the through either comic books or books or games or even TV shows that I haven't been caught up on? Like, what is the what happens to the Bad Batch? We know. So it's unwritten.
It's not written.
That's that's super exciting. It's that the unknown future is super exciting for me. So you can have them, you know, come back 30 years. You know, they can be in the next trilogy of Star Wars movies.
Well, we talked about that. Me and Steve were talking about we talked about that quite a bit last season. With like, when this series ends, will it end happily, or are they all going to be wiped out? You know,
is it going to be like a Rogue One?
Yeah, will it be like a Rogue One sort of thing, right? It's like, so that I had that feeling last year that it was going to be a similar thing. Like when it ends, it might be like a Rogue One feeling, but
I don't know. I think they're really lovable characters. It's hard to do that on characters that are just kind of so.
Well, yeah, they need more. We said this last season. They need more risk in the show. But again, like I said, as the seasons go on, historically in the animation, it gets a little harsher and stuff. So that's what I'm hoping. There's more costs of doing what they're doing. You know.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, you got to establish characters, right? So, luckily, with Filoni has now his other characters, what she's doing so well with all the series working on, whether it's animated or live action, he's pulling characters from the animation to the live action and vice versa, right? So, with that opportunity,
the whole TV streaming Star Wars market, or is it like a group thing? Like, I know he's running the animation part of it. Is he running like?
Well, Filoni's part of Mandalorian too, right? Filoni's a big guy in Mandalorian.
Like, is he who's the head kind of like shot caller?
Well, technically,
of
Lucasfilms was Kathleen Kennedy. I think has her name on it, but I think Favreau and Filoni have more hands-on Mandalorian with little interference, I believe. Because the stories are good, so I think she has limited. So that's why I think there's a power. I believe there's a power struggle going on in Star Wars. We were talking before about like
really pulled it out of the I don't want to say the trash heap because I like everything they've done to an extent.
Yeah.
But it's like it was with the new trilogy was going downhill real fast. But then you come in with the Clone Wars and all the animated stuff and the Mandalorian, and it's like it was a whole new vibe, right? Like they really saved that whole universe.
Again, getting people who love the characters to tell the stories. That helps, right? We know Kathleen Kennedy doesn't like Luke Skywalker. It clearly showed that Ryan Johnson, what's his nuts, doesn't like Luke Skywalker. They made him a dick. He believes it's good in Darth Vader, but no, my nephew is going to be bad, so I'm going to try killing him. It's the stupidest plot hole ever.
Right. Even I read an article with Mark Hamill, and he's like, "What am I doing here? Like, what are you're butchering my character? It makes no sense." And He's like, you can just do it.
He was really open. He was like, like, this isn't the Luke I know. This is like Jake Skywalker. He said that in an interview. I was like, wow. And this is the thing. I read another article where they said they actually showed a quote from Rian Johnson in this is before Star Wars, where he said something to the effect of he likes kind of screwing with characters in movies. Like he likes it when half the audience hates it and half the audience likes it.
Well, good
so
for him.
He kind of went, so some people are saying kind of went in with the intentions of doing his own thing. He didn't care about the characters, this or that. He just wanted to do his own thing, which is not necessarily his fault, right? It's whoever made him the director of that film. It's their fault. And that's the thing. So you're kind of losing, like recently in articles where some of the writers for different series, like in the Obi-Wan, complaining that how canon was getting in their way, and that the one lead writer didn't know. I think I got this wrong, Todd, when I told you.
Yeah,
he didn't know that Obi-Wan knew that Anakin was Darth Vader. So someone had said something to him like, I think he knew that. So he went to Pablo, and Pablo's like, yeah, he did know. And he said that in an interview. Like, I would have hidden that and not said I didn't know what I was writing.
Well, how does a multi-billion-dollar franchise not have oversight? Like, bring in 10, 20, 30 nerds and just be like, go to them and be like, what do you guys think?
Because it's not a priority, right? It's kind of like all this canon and continuity is kind of getting in the way of what the story they want to tell, which makes no sense. It's like you have a lot of young writers coming out who are like, I want to tell my story and I'll use this IP to do it. Cool.
Yes.
What do you mean I have to do this? It's ridiculous. And this is what's hurt the industry. This is why Disney's lost so much money.
It's hurt the brand. It hurt the brand. What they did was an experiment that hurt the brand, and that's why I think that they brought back the old CEO, right, to fix some problems, right?
But it's funny. He's the one that put everything in place, and then left to go try to become the president, and that didn't work out because he didn't end up run. That was Iger's plan. He wanted to run in 2024.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of get into different things. I think the rumor was he was going to be made the ambassador to China by the Biden administration, but the whole China-US thing isn't working out so well. So he ended up not doing that, and then he's only back for 2 years, right?
Right.
Which is nothing.
Well, there's certain people in certain positions that are doing a lot of good, though, right? And we mentioned them, Dave Filoni and John Favreau.
But really, people that like and know what they're doing.
People who love it, yes.
To fix the brand, right? So, and I mean, when I talk about oversight, all you need is a guy like that to just be like, this isn't going to work.
You need a James Gunn to come in who loves the characters and is going to fix and work with the problem. Like,
they have that.
You have Favreau, R2's on set, and he's crying because R2's on set.
Yep.
Catherine Kennedy's not shedding a tear over anything.
Yeah.
Rian Johnson didn't shed a tear over anything. You know what I'm saying? He made up characters that no one cared about that went nowhere, and just for shock value, right? You know what I'm saying? And I just want one thing we forgot to mention, or I forgot to bring up in the holiday special Guardians of the Galaxy. There's one scene where the whole thing where they're going to send Kevin Bacon home, and then so it's kind of the party was kind of poo-pooed on, and there was a little Santa balloon that was kind of deflating. There's a bum drinking. That was Mark Hamill, was it not?
Oh, I don't know.
What?
I'm pretty sure it was Mark Hamill.
I have to go look at that.
They showed there's a bum who's drinking. Why would they show it otherwise? It makes no sense. I'm pretty sure it was Mark Hamill. There's Mark Hamill on Twitter did something saying, "Well, is this Mark Hamill?" Like I think it was Mark Hamill.
I have to look that up.
So check it up for sure. I'm not too sure, but why would they show it? It makes no other sense.
You know what would be the dream team that would save Lucasfilm if there's a chance? Favreau, the new president, Filoni in charge of the story group.
Yeah.
And then he goes in and he dumps the majority of the. I mean, I heard once one person from the story group in this one of those behind the scenes videos that they released one time, and they were going on like, oh, I get to. This was how they said it. Oh, I get to write stories about people with laser guns. It's so exciting. Laser guns? They're blasters. It was like, oh, it's really cool. I don't do that. I come from like a, historical, 19th century background writing, but this whole spacey thing is cool. That's not what you need. You need nerds who are talented, though.
You want fresh ideas, but you want people who know the characters, right? Understand the characters, know the background, you just have a passion for the characters. That's where you get the best. You just look, the best results come from people with passion who understand the source material. Right? There's been so many video games and comic book movies made where they don't follow the source material because they don't have any attachment to it. I'm going to tell my story, right? And it hasn't worked out. It hasn't worked out.
That's the problem. And see, and that is the whole problem on what's happening nowadays. If you can't follow the canon, if it's too hard or it's too binding, or if you hate continuity with what's already been done for the last 40 plus years, then write something original or don't write it at all. Like what happened to, like, it just seems like artistically we're in this kind of rut. It's kind of like music, right? It's like 70s, it kind of got into rut. Then bam, the 80s hit. It was all this different kind of music. Then there was a rut. Then the 90s with like grunge hit. And then there was a kind of like a rut. And now it just all sucks. But no,
you're not wrong.
It's like artistically dead. And what they're doing is they're like, everyone loves Star Wars. So why don't we do stories we want and just slap Star Wars on it? Or everyone loves this character, this franchise, so we'll just do our own thing, but slap that name on it. It's like when they do remakes or this or that, it's like, but that has nothing to do with the book, the comic, the show, the cartoon, whatever it was. Why'd you do that? It's like, well, we're making it modern. Like, stop living in the past. It's like, okay, well, then make your own thing.
Yes,
and call it something.
Well, that's exactly it, right? Like, if you're going to work with the break, again, I have no problem like Rogue One showing it. Friggin' Andor showed it. You can tell a different Star Wars story in the universe, but do something new. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with establishing. Like, they do such a good job tying Andor into the Star Wars universe by little props, little things, the droids. You name it, right? Throw a stormtrooper here, throw the Empire. Like, the Empire is all across the galaxy, right? There's many stories going on.
Mm-hmm.
Filoni's shown that. He's been able to do that with Mandalorian. He's done it with the Clone Wars. He's done it with, the Bad Batch, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no reason why they can't do this. And I think with Matt's idea earlier, like, you build up a good reputation and then you bring these characters into a live action, which I've been saying for 2 years, right? I think that's the path that the Star Wars Lucasfilms is on, is they're building all these TV series are going to build a big, huge trilogy movie. That's why I think, bring back what's the big bad guy they're looking for from Rebels? What's his name? Thrawn.
Thrawn.
Yeah, I think it'd make him the big bad guy, right? Everything.
Him, actually, didn't they?
What's that?
They just casted him for live action.
Who do they cast? You know?
Oh, sorry. I'll check real quick. I just wanted to get back to your Guardians thing.
Okay.
So I did a quick Google search, and Mark Hamill's son Nathan actually said on Twitter, he's like, "That's what my dad does." So, like, relax. And then Mark Hamill came in like trolling, and he's like, "It's not?" ?
Yeah, that's it. Yes.
So I don't know.
But it's a weird shot that doesn't do anything for anything. It has no effect on the story. It's a close up shot of the thing. Well, first it's a wide shot of the thing, the Santa thing deflating, and then it's a shot, a wide shot, and then it goes to a close up of the bum, and it's a transition shot to something else. It just seems weird that it's not Mark Hamill, but it looked like him.
Lars Mikkelsen is playing him in live action, and it'll be in the Ahsoka show.
Right.
Okay.
Of course.
Yeah.
So I think the lesson here is, like, really good Star Wars, like you just mentioned, like the Bad Batch, Rogue One, Andor, any of the series that Filoni has done, it's all good, and no fans have real problems with it at all, because you can make a really good story in Star Wars and stay inside of canon and the lore without doing your own thing, and it works. That's the problem. That's what I think that executives who are running things and not the writers, not real writers, don't understand, right? It's like, oh, marketing is telling us kids like this kind of stuff. So what we'll do is we'll inject that into, blank, and they'll totally love it. And then when it fails miserably, they go, what's wrong with you idiots? The people not paying to come see it, or people complaining about it. It's like, it's so simple. 40 years, right? And you can add stuff to it, but don't then say, I'm going to add stuff to it, but this means that Luke is an idiot now. Like, you don't take legacy characters and say, well, he really didn't do anything. It was this character that I just made up now that doesn't fit in anywhere. You know what I mean? Like, it's just makes no sense. And studios are paying heavily for it. I mean, Disney stock has gone in half in the last couple of years, where now they're going to be laying off a tons of people. They're going to be starting to halt a lot of, like, they used to be the place where they would just like drive trucks of money and drop it on projects. Now there is no money. Like, there really is no money. And one of the rumors I heard of why Iger's back is he's setting up the company to help the investors sell to Apple. So there's a lot of work to be done, which wasn't Apple one of the options that Lucas was going to sell Lucasfilm to, but then Steve Jobs died. And then I think Spielberg was trying to convince George to sell to, I could be wrong, sell to Apple. And then he ended up selling it to Disney or something after Steve Jobs died, blah, blah, blah. So Apple, they would need, I was watching some people talk about that. They would probably need to buy Disney and every property they own about $200 billion. And I think Apple has about half of that now in money, like in actual money. So it could possibly be done, because the company is in bad shape. In the next year or two, with the rest of the world going to be in bad shape, people aren't going to be spending $10,000 vacations down at Disney World.
Yeah.
Or they're not going to have $350 million to make a superhero movie all the time. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It'll be really interesting. But then I guess it has to be approved, right? It has to be approved by the government, because then it starts going into these, I forget what they call, like, laws, like monopoly kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I know that with my line of work, right? So, like, I know it is in Canada. I have no idea what the state's rules and regulations are, but I'm pretty sure something like that takes a bit of, like, I know the Fox 20th Century Fox and Disney thing took a long time to happen too, right? So
yeah, it almost didn't happen.
They're also making these Star Wars films and the superhero films for $200 million, and you add another $200 million on marketing, $400 million project. You got to make $400 million just to break even on
break even.
So they're going to have to get to a point where it's like they're going to have to go back to kind of like grassroots filmmaking, where it's like you're going to have to make a superhero movie for $20 million. Because this is like, I just read an article that what was the one we saw, Black Adam.
Yeah,
Black Adam's not going to break even, and
yeah.
it made $200 million. How is that not a huge hit? When I was growing up, movies that made $100 million were huge, huge hits, and now it's like films aren't even breaking even with $200 million.
Well, another option that could happen, maybe they're not going to lower the budget, they're just going to make less of the films.
Yeah,
they're going to slow the process down. Instead of pounding out 4 a year, they might do 2 a year.
Yeah.
So they're going to be big, huge events, right? You do one at Christmas time, one in the summertime, right? So again, instead of making 4 big movies, they make 2 big movies, right?
That's what Warner Brothers is running into now. They're so broke, they're on bankruptcy, that they can only they can only afford to make 2 movies a year. Warner Brothers, 2 movies a year. That's it, because they're like, I forget how many billions in debt they are. And that's why, it was Discovery bought out Warner Brothers, and that new CEO came in and is like stopping stuff and firing people and laying people off. And blah blah blah, right? Cutting back because they're in so much debt.
And they got rid of all their narrative TV series and everything. They just shut everything down, right? Like the big thing is, like I believe having your own streaming service is very expensive. Creating content for your streaming service is very, very expensive. Like
Because it has to
very
keep
expensive.
going and going, right? It's only so many Disney animated movies and whatever else you can make. You got to keep going. But then people get not only burnt out on it, but then the stories get thinned out and crappier. And
Well,
you know what
we're-
they could do is if they can make a movie, like I said, that people want to go see, they're not going to come up short because everyone's going to go see it 2-3 times. You're going to buy the DVD if that's a thing anymore. You know, they're going to do all these different things and spend the money. But you know, like Avatar, the new Avatar coming out, James Cameron said to break even, that movie has to make $2 billion
Yeah.
to break even.
I don't even want to see it.
I'm gonna boycott it just because I kind of think he's a dick.
Well, he's 15 years too late for this movie.
Yeah.
Is it 15 or maybe 10 years or whatever it is? It's like, you know, people wanted to see that like a few years after the first one, maybe, but now it's like, and then it's kind of the same story.
I watched the first one time. I've
Yeah.
never watched it again.
Yeah.
And not that I didn't like it. I remember liking it, but it never not like
It's
to the point. Oh, I gotta watch it again. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying it was. There's been so much good content made since Avatar that it's not. I'm not going to go. Oh wow! Like you know what I'm saying? Oh wow! It sure looks pretty, but there's been so much stuff that looks so gorgeous. You know, like you look at Endgame, look at Infinity War, you look at freaking this Volume 3 trailer. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's lots of that looks really good. It tells amazing stories, right? Like you know, like was Avatar a fantastic story? It's okay, right?
Isn't it Pocahontas? It's Pocahontas in space. It's not even
like
an original story.
Dance, yeah, it is. It's a kind of an old story.
Yeah.
Right, unobtainium, right? The mineral, they're like some kind of made up. You know, it's just like I think that's what the metal is called, right? Unobtainium.
Yes.
I can't remember. I think
Yeah,
that's what it's
that's
called.
exactly
They're
it.
harvesting right inside the tree, and you know, it just happens to be underneath the tree, and yeah, I will. You know, now they're underwater. Okay, good. Why?
And I
Because
don't know what
water's
he's doing.
expensive.
Like,
Because water's
it's
expensive to
weird.
do. I don't know.
Lots
Like,
of beautiful creatures under the water. And that's
It's
Yeah.
very weird. But I mean, bottom line is, I mean, you know, Hollywood and all the studios are in a really kind of like, what do you call that? They're at their moment where they have to start making decisions, right? And because they're being forced into having to make decisions and have to do the right decisions. I mean, if they want to make money, if they want to, and it's going to be a combination of things, right? Writers that like and know the story, writers that are talented, maybe not paying, like you were saying, maybe not paying out the same money for like actors and this and that, or putting out like 4 Marvel movies a year because you're trying to make that big story to connect at the end of the year and blah blah blah. Like they just need to cut back, and they're going to be forced to cut back.
Yeah.
So, but wow, we got really serious.
for one little Christmas special, we went an hour and a half. But you know, there's lots to talk about, right? We're in that period where we're waiting for the next big thing to come up, right? So we're in it's that lull period. So it's speculation. It's talking about the excitement of things coming out, rolling out. Like it was a big week. We even get into the other Lucas films, which is Indiana Jones 5, right? So
What about the Willow TV show? Have you guys been watching that?
Steve started.
No, yeah, I started and I just didn't get into it. Yeah,
It's got a like an adventure fellowship kind of the Ring vibe to it, where I don't know. I didn't really care for the movie growing up, but I've actually kind of enjoyed the show.
Well, I thought it'd be fun to look at just because we've watched stuff we've really liked. Maybe we can watch something of Lucasfilm's project that, you know, maybe it's. I saw the rating right now. It's got 5.2 rating on IMDb. Maybe it'd be fun to watch something that's maybe not as good in our eyes, and we decipher that sort of thing. Maybe it might be fun. I know Steve's a big fan of the original movie, though. I know that's the big thing. Steve's. It kind of hurt. He said
it would be fun if we can just watch paint dry on the wall too.
I'm just happy to see Warwick Davis' face. He's always playing an elf or an Ewok or a droid, or you never actually get to play like an actual character, right?
A murder leprechaun, yeah.
Yeah, murder leprechaun.
All right. Well, let's talk about this a little bit offline here, but I think we'll end it here. God, we got really, really serious about stuff. Like it was its own podcast. We should maybe talk
It
about
was.
that.
Well, there's lots to talk about, right? Like, you know,
Yeah.
it's and we haven't had Matt in these discussions. We've had many discussions over the last year. Matt had some insight too, and it's kind of neat. Just, you know, the future. What's the future look like? We don't know. Like there's tough times everywhere,
It's very
including
fluid with streaming and theater. The theater kind of conflict right now. It's a very fluid industry right now. It's really interesting to kind of see how it unfolds.
Yeah. All right, everyone. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you. Thanks for tuning in to episode 100.
100.
We will see you next time. Thanks, guys, for doing podcasts.
Yeah.
Awesome.